I want you to do something right now. Take a second and just like look around the room you are in. Look at
Mm.
the empty space around you, maybe the gap between you and the wall, or the air above your screen.
It looks like absolutely nothing, right? Just a total void.
Yeah, exactly, just empty space.
Mm.
But what if that completely empty space is actually teeming with millions of lives? Like, what if there are invisible floating rivers rushing right past your head?
And towering colors of multicolored light standing literally right where you are sitting.
Right. I mean, it requires a pretty profound shift in perspective to even imagine that. You're looking at your room right now through the lens of pure physical matter.
But the source material we are exploring today asks you to just completely discard that lens. We're looking at a really highly detailed, translated text about a vast spiritual cosmology.
Yeah, it essentially maps out the hidden architecture of reality, and it demands that we completely rethink everything we consider to be, real.
Exactly. It completely contrasts our physical universe with this invisible overlaid dimension.
Right, so today's deep dive is fully immersed in this framework. Our mission today is to decode the intricate rules of this universe and explore the ultimate cosmic transit system for the afterlife.
And we really want to find out what this text says about the true literal weight of our everyday
And
action.
let's unpack this, because to even begin to understand the afterlife they're describing, we first have to redefine the physical world we are sitting in right now.
We do, yeah. The foundation of this entire philosophy divides reality into two really distinct universes. You have the positive universe and the negative universe.
And those terms mean almost the exact opposite of what you might instinctively think, right? Like the positive universe, which the text calls the 1,000-year world and the 10,000-year world, is our material world.
Right, it's the objective reality, the stuff you can touch, see, measure. But the defining characteristic of everything in the positive universe is that it has a lifespan.
Yeah, it decays. It's temporary. Our physical bodies, our cities, the earth itself, that is all the positive universe.
Yeah. Exactly. But then there is the negative universe, and specifically a place called the Elysium world. And this is where the physics of this cosmology just get entirely mind-bending.
Oh, totally. The Elysium world is an eternal, timeless space. It's described as this realm of fantasy where objects don't exist by their physical form, but by their essence or their nature.
And here's the craziest part. The Elysium world is exactly the same size as our Earth universe. It is both millions of light years away and right here.
Yeah, perfectly overlapping us at this very second. So is this like cloud computing?
Oh, that's an interesting way to think about it.
Like, think about it. The physical servers, our laptops, the hard drives, those are the positive universe.
Yeah.
Our material, they heat up, and they will eventually just break down and become obsolete, right?
Right. They have a definite lifespan.
Exactly. But the data itself, the essence of the information, it lives forever in the invisible cloud, which is the negative universe.
What's fascinating here is that the cloud is a really great starting point for visualizing that overlap. But there's one major caveat. In our digital world, anyone can access the cloud with a device.
Right.
In this cosmology, your device is your spiritual mass. The architecture of the Elysium world only renders for you if you possess a specific Buddhist nature. Without it, the software simply won't compile.
So it's a hardware issue versus a software issue. And I mean, the idea that our physical bodies are just disposable hardware is actually a little terrifying to me.
It definitely flips how we view aging or, material decay. If the physical world is meant to break down, obsessing over preserving it is just missing the entire point.
Yeah. And the text uses a really fascinating mechanism to illustrate how we already interact with this negative space, which is human dreams.
Yes, the dream state is actually considered a manifestation of negative space.
But here's the crucial detail from the text. The size and the vividness of your dream world depend entirely on your spiritual nature, your perception, and your thinking ability.
Right, so think about people who have incredibly vibrant, lucid dreams, like flying or visiting other planets.
Yeah, in this framework, that's not just random synapses firing in your brain. That is literal proof of a high-mass spiritual nature rendering a much larger negative space.
Exactly. And conversely, if you only ever dream about mundane, everyday office work or something, your spiritual nature is literally limiting the boundaries of your reality.
Wow, so it is this self-imposed boundary.
Mm-hmm.
The mundane thinker generates a mundane negative space, and the enlightened thinker generates a boundless one.
Precisely. It's all tied to that internal capacity.
I am struggling with the physical logistics here, though. If this massive, eternal Elysium world is perfectly overlapping our own. Like, if it's sitting right here in the room with us, why am I not bumping into it?
That's a very natural question to ask.
Right. If I'm standing next to an entity from this negative universe, why doesn't that energy physically interact with me in the positive universe? And what do we look like to the beings who can see it?
Well, we certainly don't look like flesh and bone. That much is clear. Seen from the Elysium world, humans appear as columns of light.
Columns of light?
Yeah. Some people manifest as a really dim, barely there flicker. Others appear as a solid pillar of red light or even towering columns of brilliant multicolored light.
Oh, wow. And the text says the height and color of your light column depend entirely on your mass, right?
Yes, but again, not physical mass. It is your spiritual nature, which is formed at birth and shaped over your lifetime by enduring belief and self-refinery.
So what does this all mean? Like, if my visual footprint in this overlapping universe is just a glowing column of my own spiritual discipline, and this room is packed with millions of unseen entities, am I just completely spiritually blind?
Essentially, yes.
I mean, the cosmology claims life is everywhere, right? Inside stones, riding on light rays, living in radio waves. There are even ghosts or lives stuck between the yin and yang worlds. Why am I oblivious to all of this happening right in front of my face?
It comes back to the biological hardware we discussed earlier. The text uses some very grounded biological analogies to explain our blindness.
Oh, right, the firefly analogy.
Exactly. Imagine you are standing in a pitch-black field at night. All you see are the tiny flashes of fireflies. Because you only see the flashes of light, does that mean the fireflies don't have heads or wings?
Of course not, yeah. You just lack the visual capacity in the dark to see their full form.
Right. You are only perceiving a tiny fraction of the reality. And they use another great example. Consider the owl.
Okay, yeah, tell me about the owl.
An owl can see a rat scurrying through a field in absolute pitch blackness. The owl doesn't have magical supernatural powers. Its retina structure is simply different from a human's.
Ah, I see. So our earthly retinas are physically incapable of translating that data. They are just tuned to the positive universe.
Exactly. They simply aren't built to detect the green glowing eyes of the broader universe around us.
That is wild. If our earthly retinas are missing an entire overlapping universe right inside our own bedrooms, it makes me wonder how completely blind we are to the rest of the cosmos.
Right.
Does this invisible overlay extend into deep space?
It does, and the scale is absolutely staggering. In this cosmology, our entire Earth universe, like everything we can observe with our most powerful telescopes, is categorized as merely a particulate.
A particulate. Just a single speck. That is incredibly humbling.
It really is. The text calculates that even if you used a space tunnel, it would take over 1,860 years to cross this one particulate.
Wait, really? That's nearly 5.86 billion light years just to cross our single speck of dust.
Exactly. And that speck is just one tiny piece of a massive system revolving around the heaven world, which they also call the law rotary system.
And within this grand rotating system, there are 3,000 worlds, right?
Yes. And to organize this immense structure, these 3,000 worlds are divided into 10 continents. You have regions like the Lotus Continent, the God's Continent, and so on.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. These 10 continents are not divided by physical geography. They aren't separated by light years or planetary orbits.
No, not at all.
They are sorted exclusively by the spiritual mass and the Buddha power of the beings residing in them. You literally cannot cross the border into a higher continent without the proper spiritual power.
It's a very strict boundary.
So my analogy for this is it's like sorting cities not by their physical location on a map, but by the average credit score of the residents.
Oh, that's a perfect way to put it.
Right. You cannot move to a quote-unquote higher neighborhood if your spiritual currency is too low.
Yeah.
The border isn't a physical wall, it's a frequency limit.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this frequency-based sorting explains the trajectory of highly evolved souls. Take the historical Buddha Sakyamuni, for example.
Okay, yeah.
The cosmology notes that before coming to Earth, he resided in the Lotus Continent. He transitioned through a specific pathway to reach the mortal world.
Right, and after his time here, his spiritual mass had evolved to a point that allowed him to ascend to an even higher realm, the God's Continent.
Exactly. He traversed these impenetrable borders because his internal frequency, his Buddha power, unlocked the gates.
Okay, but that brings up a massive logistical problem for me.
What's that?
If these borders are so strictly defined by frequency and spiritual mass, how does any soul actually travel between them in the first place? Like if you die, how do you physically or spiritually make that leap?
Well, they don't just float randomly through space, if that's what you're picturing. There is a highly specific, centralized transit hub.
Right, the text called it the continent for three realms, lives to pass through. What a name.
It's very descriptive. It is a miniature version of the Earth universe, completely invisible to our material world, acting as the grand intersection for gods, humans, and immortals.
So no matter your origin or destination in the cosmos, you have to pass through this hub.
Exactly. Everyone goes through it.
The imagery of this transit hub in the text is incredibly cinematic. A narrator actually gets a guided tour from an angel.
Yeah, it's a very vivid sequence.
Souls enter via a space tunnel, then they cross this colorful life bridge, and once over the bridge, they face a rainbow heaven gate.
And inside this gate is a massive tunnel lined with exactly 36 doors standing opposite each other.
And these aren't just decorative doors, right? This tunnel is the ultimate sorting mechanism for souls based on the exact karma they accumulated in their previous life.
It is, and it is not a forgiving process at all. The first 3 doors represent the hells.
Yeah, let's talk about those. Door 1 is the inflaming layer, right?
Yes, a realm of fire specifically for those who tortured or killed others. Then door 2 is the frozen layer, a place of freezing winds for those who did bad deeds and harmed the innocent.
And then door 3 is the hell world. The narrator watches a man being chased by monsters, seeking refuge against a tree, only for the tree to grow bloody hands and strangle him.
It's horrific. The angel explains this door is for people who were domineering, who bullied others, and pushed people out of their livelihoods.
The punishment seems so intensely psychological. But the cosmology takes a huge philosophical turn when the narrator looks into door 4.
Ah, yes, the plant world.
Right, he sees plants enduring brutal storms, scorching sun, and humans chopping them down. And the text states that these plants are actually human souls.
Which is such a wild concept.
It really is. They are lives paying back the universe because, in their past lives, they overconsumed ecological resources without doing anything good for the world.
It's a fascinating look at how this universe views crimes against nature versus crimes against people. Your punishment for taking too much from the earth without giving back is to literally become the earth.
Wow.
You are forced to stand perfectly still, provide shade, bear fruit, and suffer the elements, thereby repaying your karmic debt to the universe.
That is a totally radical ecological perspective. And that same logic carries over into doors 5 and 6, which are the animal and livestock worlds.
Right. Door 5 is the brutal animal kingdom, where you live in constant fear of being eaten. That's the destination for humans who love to fight, rob, or fail to care for their aging parents.
But door 6 is specifically for livestock, right? Cows, pigs, dogs, donkeys.
Yes, and the angel explicitly notes that these are souls providing the maximum amount of physical service for the minimal amount of demand.
Why? Because in their human lives, they occupied other people's property, took bribes, or didn't pay their earthly debts.
The contrast there is just brilliant. If your sin was ecological greed, you become a static plant. If your sin was commercial greed, like taking bribes, you become a beast of burden.
You are forced into a biological form that must carry the literal physical weight of the debt you avoided in your human life.
Exactly. It's incredibly literal.
Wait, so when I see a houseplant enduring a storm on a windowsill, or a donkey carrying heavy goods up a mountain, the text literally says they are paying off a hyper-specific earthly debt, like an unpaid loan.
Yes, that is exactly what it's saying.
Is the universe just one giant ruthless accounting firm then?
Well, it goes deeper than just being an accounting firm. It is a self-balancing mathematical equation. Karma here isn't just some vague concept of good vibes and bad vibes.
Right, it's not just a feeling.
Exactly. It is a meticulous cosmic ledger. It doesn't operate on malice or vengeance. It simply calculates the deficit your actions created in the universe and places you in the exact biological vessel required to balance the equation.
Wow. Which brings the narrator to door 7. After witnessing the horrors of the hells, the plants, and the beasts of burden, the narrator looks into the 7th door and sees a noisy, chaotic street.
Full of people crying, laughing, and rushing around aimlessly.
Yeah, because door 7 is our very own mortal world.
And seeing it directly after all those other doors completely reframes the human experience. The angel describes the mortal world not as a final destination or even a particularly special one.
It's merely a noisy transit station between heaven and hell. It's a crowded waiting room where your daily actions are generating the data that will determine your next departure gate.
Which is terrifyingly relatable, honestly.
Totally. Anyone listening to this right now who feels burnt out from paying rent, answering endless emails, just trying to survive the daily grind. This cosmology essentially says that modern societal burnout is a literal trap.
Yes, the angel describes the vast majority of humanity as busy worms.
Busy worms. That is a remarkably cutting phrase.
It really is. It perfectly captures the tragedy of a life consumed entirely by survival. If you are so heavily pressured by the daily grind that you have absolutely no time or energy left to consider the deeper meaning of life, you are just a busy worm.
You are utterly blind to the massive spiritual machinery operating around you, which means you have absolutely no control over where you go next.
You're just being swept along by the current.
So are we all just doomed to be busy worms then? I mean, if you aren't a monk living in a remote temple, and you aren't wealthy enough to completely retreat from the stress of the modern world, how does a regular person build up their spiritual mass?
Well, this raises an important question because the cosmology doesn't actually demand that you become a monk.
Oh, it doesn't.
No, the angel defines the ultimate goal as leading a wise life with the behavior of spiritual nature. And the examples given are incredibly grounded and accessible.
Okay, like what?
Well, it mentions Jehovah's Witnesses who live modest, unselfish family lives. It mentions Buddhists seeking the highest spiritual nature with the lowest material demand.
Right.
And it explicitly praises Christians and Muslims who are tolerant of dissidents and don't enforce dogmatic control over others.
So it's entirely religion agnostic. Formal religion isn't the point at all.
Not at all. The rituals are just optional tools. The highest wisdom exists in how you treat your fellow transit passengers.
That makes a lot of sense.
The angel's advice for the common person is simply this: follow your natural humanity. Work honestly from sunrise to sunset. Keep a peaceful mind, let things happen naturally, and seek proper education.
But the angel also issues a pretty sharp warning to the people society usually idolizes, right? The kings, the rich, the famous.
Oh, absolutely.
Pursuing earthly wealth is framed as a zero-sum game in this text. Yeah, so the more wealth, status, and comfort you extract from the mortal world, the less spiritual mass you have reserved in the celestial world. Accumulating power here guarantees you will be powerless there.
It completely inverts our standard metrics of success. The busy worm trying to get a promotion is actually depleting their cosmic savings account.
And just as the narrator is trying to process all of this, the tour abruptly ends. The angel warns that explaining too much violates heaven's laws, and then suddenly shoves the narrator straight through door 7.
Yeah, straight into the black hole.
Right. The narrator falls headfirst into a black hole, feels intensely dizzy, and gradually loses all perception and memory.
It is a visceral, terrifying depiction of reincarnation. The slate is forcefully wiped clean.
You are thrust back into the physical world, the positive universe, completely unaware of the massive, overlapping spiritual reality you just witnessed. You must navigate the mortal world blind.
We're relying solely on your internal compass, exactly.
And that brings us right back to you, listening to this deep dive right now. Whether you are driving your commute, working at your desk, or staring at the empty space in your room, this framework suggests you are currently standing inside a massive, invisible cosmic transit station.
Yes, and every action you take, every debt you ignore, every small kindness you show is actively adjusting the color and height of that column of light, broadcasting your soul's mass to the rest of the universe.
It is a profound reminder that the physical world we obsess over is just a temporary, decaying overlay.
It definitely challenges you to look at every interaction, every houseplant, every animal, and every quiet moment with a deep sense of reverence and consequence.
I want to leave you with one final mind-bending detail that we haven't even touched on yet.
Oh, right, the visual glitch.
Yes. Before being shoved into that black hole, the narrator asks the angel if humans can ever catch a glimpse of this invisible celestial machinery from down here on Earth.
And the angel replies that normally, no, the biological hardware prevents it.
However, there is a glitch in the system. The text explicitly claims that when we see atmospheric optical illusions, what we call mirages, that is actually a rare tear in the veil.
It is a fleeting moment where mortals are allowed to physically see the architecture of the celestial world bleeding into our positive reality.
So the next time you are driving on a hot highway and you see a shimmering mirage hovering on the horizon, ask yourself, is that really just heat bending the light? Or are you looking straight into the Elysium world?
A phenomenal question to ponder.
Thanks for taking this journey with us. Until next time, keep your eyes open.